World War I left the European powers as a fraction of what they once were. Germany in particular suffered, its empire once having colonies in Africa, controlling the Alsace-Lorraine province that it had conquered during the Franco-Prussian War, and all of the German states of Europe united under one emperor. The aftermath of World War I devolved Germany into a small, crippled nation that was bound by the Treaty of Versailles to stay crippled. And stay crippled it did, until a charismatic World War I veteran by the name of Adolf Hitler took power. Hitler had no intention of leading a nation whose legacy was the only prestigious aspect of it, like the treaty that had ruined the nation intended. He was an ambitious man who knew the potential that his country had, and if restored properly could be the world power that he desired. Hitler not only restored Germany to its previous state, he also utilized the industrial capacity of his nation to lead his country into the bloodiest and most destructive conflict mankind has ever known. So what if Hitler had died in World War I? Germany never rebuilt. World War II never happened. In this episode of What If in History, we talk about our opinion of what we think the world would be like if Hitler had never been around to rebuild Germany.
Despite Hitler leading his country into another world war, no one can deny that he had talent for managing the economy. He managed to restore the German economy, which at one point it costed over 1,000,000 marks just to mail a letter. After Hitler took power, he restored the German economy to its prime. So what if Hitler had never been there to rebuild? The possibility that another leader, just as efficient as Hitler, and maybe less evil, within Germany's 80 million inhabitants, is too large to believe that the German economy would have just stayed broken.
However, even if the German economy did get fixed, the American economy would be nowhere near as productive as we know it today. People don't realize how good World War II was for the United States, virtually eliminating all aspects of unemployment and unlocking the production potential that the United States had. Without the war, the US probably would not be the sole superpower of the world as we know it today. Until the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, most American citizens were in favor of neutrality. Without the bombing to spark America's rise to power, the US would most likely still be an isolationist country.
The race for nuclear weapons took a rise in World War II and is arguably the most world-changing invention of the era. A new type of warfare took a rise and the threat of nuclear war loomed over the countries of the USSR and the United States shortly after World War II. If the nuclear bomb had never been invented, it's likely the Cold War could have gone two different routes. Either gone into an all-out war that could have taken place in World War II, or never happened at all. The outcome of either one of these possibilities could have had a massive impact on the future of the world, and could have been as decisive and world-changing as World War II.
During World War II, much of the fighting was done in the European countries' colonies. Great Britain and France were the leading colonial competitors of the war, Germany having lost all of its colonies as part of the Treaty of Versailles that ended World War I. Africa was a major area of conflict, as France controlled much of northwestern Africa, and Great Britain controlling much of eastern Africa. Italy also had colonies there. At the end of World War II, European powers gave up most of their colonies, ending the age of colonial empires around the world. If World War II never gave many of the countries we know today independence, the problems we see in Africa may not exist. People like Joseph Kony might not be in power, and many of the poverty issues might be solved. Although, if you look at how colonial governments have treated their population in the past, there may be more severe issues than poverty happening in colonial provinces.
So, if Hitler had died in World War I, the world would be dramatically different than we know today. The superpowers of the world may be different, the economies would be drastically changed, and the colonial empires we only look back upon today might still be dominating the world. Despite this, the lives of over 60 million people, or 2.5% of the entire population of the Earth at that time, would be saved.
Make sure to tune in next time on What If in History to see how the world would be changed if Napoleon Bonaparte never led France to being one of the greatest empires the world has ever known.